Greet all of you friends and welcome to my YouTube channel Sanjeet Patsala. Right now, this is the third chapter of Bhagwat Geeta I'm going to analyze. Listen to me if you are good listener, so definitely you should listen whole the summarized version of this chapter, the third chapter of Bhagwat Geeta. You have heard that Bhagwat Gita, all chapters are most important for the students, teachers, parents, for everybody, the most important. So today I'm going to discuss the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita. What in this third chapter is, you try to listen. If you study the third chapter, you can understand that what is the duty, why everybody should do the work. So now let's start. Chapter 3 of Bhagavad Gita, that is called the yoga of action. It is called in Sanskrit or Hindi Karma Yoga. This chapter is one of the most practical and powerful chapters of the Bhagavad Gita. In this chapter, Arjuna learns from Krishna about the importance of selfless actions, duty, discipline, freedom from attachment. This chapter explains, guys, why humans cannot remain inactive, why action is necessary, how to walk without a selfish desire, how duty leads to a spiritual growth, how desires and anger becomes enemies of wisdom. A background of chapter 3 is concerned. At the end of chapter 2, Krishna explained wisdom, self-control, the qualities of wise person. Arjuna becomes confused. Arjuna thinks, if knowledge is greater than action, then why should I fight this terrible war? So chapter 3 begins with Arjuna asking Krishna about the conflict between renunciation and actions. Arjuna's questions, Arjuna asks, if intelligence and knowledge are superior, then why do you ask me to engage in action? He wants a clear answer. He wants to a clear answer. Should one leave actions or continue worldly duties? The confusion is very natural even today. Many people think that spirituality means leaving society, walking inferior. Meditation also alone is enough. Krishna corrects the misunderstanding. Krishna explains two paths. Krishna says there are mainly two spiritual paths. Path of knowledge for deeply contemplative people, path of action for active people living in society. But Krishna emphasizes no human can remain without action even for a moment. Why action is necessary? Krishna explains that nature, Prakriti, forces everyone to act, even breathing, thinking, speaking, eating, sleeping. These all are actions. Therefore, escaping work is impossible. Only changing one's attitude towards work is important. Meaning of Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga means perform your duty without attachment to results. This is the central teaching of chapter 3. Krishna does not say, do not work. He says, work selflessly. Clear formula of Karma Yoga. Right action equal to duty minus selfish attachment. A Karma Yogi. A Karma Yogi works sincerely, gives full effort, but remains calm about success or failure. Nisham Karma, it is called in English desireless actions. This is one of the greatest ideas of the Gita. Nishkam karma means action performed without a selfish desire, without ego, without greed for reward. A teacher teaching honestly, a doctor serving patients sincerely, a student studying for learning not only marks, for such a purifies the mind. Difference between the karma and karma yoga. Action with selfish desire, selfless action. Creates bondage, gives freedom. Ego centered, duty centered, and cause stress, brings peace. Importance of duty. Krishna strongly teaches one should perform one's own duty. Even imperfectly performed personal duty is better than copying another person's life. Example, a student's duty, study, learn discipline, develop characters. If a student abandons study to imitate someone else's path, confusion arises. Definitely. Krishna gives his own example. Krishna says, though I am nothing to gain in the world, still I continue to act. Why? Why? Because society follows a great people. Leaders influence the world. Inactivity creates disorder. This is teaching about a leadership. Concept of yajna. Krishna introduces the idea of yajna, real meaning of yajna, not only fire rituals. It means selfless contributions, cooperations, working for the welfare of all. Cycle of harmony. Krishna explains a universal cycle, selfless action, then harmony, then prosperity, then well-being. The humans should work honestly, support society, respect nature, contribute to the collective welfare. The wise and the ignorant, Krishna compares two types of people, wise person, ignorant person. Wise person walks without attachment, remains calm, serves society. And ignorant people act selflessly, becomes attached, suffers anxiety and frustrations. The wise should guide others gently, not insult them. The real enemy desires not one of the most famous teaching of chapter 3. Arjuna asks, what forces a person to commit sin unwillingly? Krishna answers, desires and anger. Desire leads to destructions. Krishna explains the chain. Desire, then anger, then delusion, loss of wisdom, and at last destructions. When desires are uncontrolled, frustrations develops, anger arises, intelligence becomes clouded. This psychological analysis is very deep and modern. Where desire lives, Krishna says, desires exist in senses, mind, intellect. Therefore, discipline is necessary. Control through self-mastery. Krishna teaches control senses, strengthen the mind, use wisdom, realize the higher self. Philosophical meaning of chapter 3 is, this chapter teaches us spirituality is not escape. One can live spiritually while walking in society. Duty is sacred. Work becomes works if when performed selflessly. Attachments causes suffering. Not action itself, but attachment creates pain. Self-control is essential. Without discipline, desires controls human life. Service purifies the heart. Helping others elevates consciousness. Modern relevance of Karma Yoga, chapter 3 is extremely relevant today. First, for students, study regularly, avoid laziness, focus on effort, not only results. For workers, work honestly, avoid corruption, reduces ego and greed. For leaders, lead by example, act responsibly. For society, cooperation and selfless service create harmony. Psychological importance, this chapter also teaches emotional balance. A person becomes a peaceful when expectation reduces, ego decreases, duty becomes central. This reduces stress, jealousy, anxiety, frustration. A spiritual meaning message of this chapter, the ultimate message is, what ultimate message? Perform actions as worship without a selfish attachment. True freedom does not come from escaping life, it comes from the purity of inventions, disciplined actions, surrender of ego. Important Sanskrit concept in chapter 3, karam, in English action. Karma yoga, in English yoga of selfless action. Niskam karma, desireless action. Swadharma, one's own duty. Yajna, sacrifice, selfless contribution. Karma, desire. Krodh, anger, and prakriti, nature. Most important teachings of chapter 3, key lessons. No one can remain inactive. First, duty should be performed sincerely. Second, Work without attachment to results. Third, and selfish desires causes suffering. Fourth, desires and angers are enemies of wisdom. Fifth, great people must lead society through action. Sixth, and selfless service purifies life. Seventh. Conclusion. Chapter 3 of the Gita transforms the meaning of the work. Krishna teaches Arjuna that life is not a means of escape. For escape, action is unavoidable. The secret is acting without a selfish attachment. This chapter turns ordinary work into spirituality, discipline, worship, inner growth. The sense of chapter 3 can be summarized as do your duty sincerely, selflessly, and calmly. At last, I would like to say in a simple language that in this chapter we can learn everybody can do the duties. So great all of you. Jai Hind.